Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We have my neighbor's 325i convertible here again. We got a bit more work to do. Last video we did brakes all the way around, and we were waiting on some parts from SCP Euro. A bunch of stuff had come in, but was missing some stuff. So that has finally come in. Again, props to SCP. They hopped right on it, got it shipped next day for me. So in this video, I think I'm gonna chop it up a little bit because last time we got a little too in-depth and too long. So here we have what we're gonna work on today. Basic tune-up stuff. We got a fuel filter. I actually already popped that in. It's a really tight quarters underneath. It's just some hose clamps and a bracket. So that's all set to go. We got 6 new Bosch plugs. These are, they don't have a part number on them. Interesting. But these are the Bosch plugs for this car. Got a cap and rotor for it as well. And we need to do the valve cover gasket. If you remember the original walk around video, these wires are pretty new. They are Bremis as well. And they look in good shape. So I'm not worried about changing them out. If he continues to have any kind of problems, we can go ahead and change that. But for now, I think we're going to just start on the tune-up stuff and go ahead, start with some plugs, and we'll do the cap and rotor. I probably won't stream film that whole process. This has been getting the videos a bit too long, so I'll just show you some updates. I'll get the plugs out, show you what they look like, get the new ones in, torque to spec. We'll go ahead and get on the cap and rotor, and then move to the valve cover. Valve cover doesn't look too bad. Just got a bracket for the intake, some bolts or nuts around the perimeter, and that should pop off. Hopefully I don't have to take that intake manifold off. I don't think so. It looks like with just that bracket off, we can pop the crankcase hose off and have plenty of room. And we'll have to get the wires out of the way, but they look like they just bolt to the valve cover as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll bring you back when we get the plugs out. All right, guys, we're back. We got all 6 spark plugs out. One thing to note: these older BMWs, they don't use these little tops that are screw onto the spark plugs themselves. You just unscrew them. Just hold the base, and then unscrew it with a pair of pliers at the top. You know, be careful you're not twisting on the plug, breaking the porcelain, that kind of thing. Looks like previous owner put some auto lights in there. I'm not a huge fan, not of auto lights in general, but just that I like running what the manufacturer specifies. So BMW gets Bosch, possibly NGK. Toyotas, I run Denzos or NGK. Chevys, AC Delcos, Fords, Motorcraft. You get what I'm saying. It actually looks like there's a couple different plugs here. I think they're all the same part number. Yeah, all 64s. But maybe they just had an older set or something like that to change manufacturing process. Or someone was just lazy and didn't want to do the back too. So starting here is cylinder 1 through 6. You can see there's quite a bit of oil on cylinders 1 and 2. That's from that leaking valve cover gasket. The back plugs weren't too bad. Sorry, got some traffic driving by. So most of them were pretty dry, just the 2 fronts were pretty wet. Tip to getting these out: if they don't want to come out with the socket that you're using for the spark plugs, some of mine have the rubber, some don't. Just take a stick magnet and you can pick them up, pull them out. Especially on overhead cam engines, that's pretty useful to get down in there, pull them out. Because you know, trying to get some needle nose in there or whatever, the tops are magnetic, just pull them out. And we did go ahead and torque the spec. Now guys, these things only take 18 foot-pounds of torque. I've seen some say 23 to 25. I tried starting at 20. I didn't like how it felt, so I went back down to 18 on all 6. Now you don't need your big 1/2-inch torque wrench for something like this. When you get values that are low on the scale for these wrenches, they're not as accurate, especially these are just Hobo Freight, Pittsburghs. So, you know, you just need the 3/8. You don't need the big 1/2 inch. So show you over here, got all 6 in. I haven't put the wires back on because I've got to remove this loom to take the valve cover off anyway, so it'd just be in my way. So I'm just going to leave them off. This is packaged really nice. They are just all in a line. You really can't mess them up. I suppose if you're sleeping you could, but they're packaged really well on this end. So I think the next step is going to be pop that cap off, replace the cap and wires. Then I'll probably leave all that off, or maybe I'll just throw the wires out of the way so we can get the valve cover off as the next big job. You see, it definitely was leaking pretty bad. I did spray out and dry up inside where the spark plugs go, get some of that oil out of there. But I will go ahead and start pulling that cap off and replace the rotor, bring it back when that's all set, and I will start taking that valve cover off. All right guys, so I lied. I decided I was going to change up what I was doing and do the valve cover gasket instead of moving on to the cap and the rotor. I don't know why, I just figured since I had to take those 2 off from the ignition wire harness, why not? Let's just take the rest off. So they're just 10s all the way around. I was right, it's just that little bracket here on the intake that comes off. I should have plenty of clearance. Got the hose disconnected for the crankcase, and I actually popped it already. It wasn't down very hard. Let's go ahead and lift that up, see what we got. Wow, really not too bad in there. So I mean, some varnishing, some staining, but no real sludge. Let's get you in here a little closer. So yeah, valve train looks really good. I don't see any big chunks of crap or whatever, so it does look like there's a little bit of RTV on the front from, I don't know what they were doing up there, but really, well, I guess maybe you could use a little bit around that section there. We'll clean that up and we'll do a little dab RTV just to again to seal that valve cover up there. But it really shouldn't need it because there's no oil in the timing belt area, so I don't know really why they did that. Maybe we'll just put a little dab RTV there, but we'll get in here with some rags, get that surface cleaned up. We'll go ahead and then clean this surface up. And also clean this side too, make it a little bit better. It's not going to be super great. You can see this kind of yellowing. That's I believe from Cosmo line that they use. They sprayed in the engine bays in the 80s, early 90s. It's supposed to be corrosion protection. Unfortunately, after a couple decades, it just turns yellow and gross. You can get it off, but this isn't my car, so I'm not going to spend a whole ton of time on it. I'm not going to paint the valve cover, although it would look pretty cool. Silver with maybe some black inside those stripes around the BMW. But again, it's not my car, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time doing that. But we'll clean it up for him, make it look nice. So I'll go ahead, start to wipe this down and get ready to put the new gasket on. All right guys, we're back. We got the valve cover area all cleaned up. I don't know why it didn't pop in my head when I mentioned it before, but the RTV, is the half moons at the ends of the cams. Once I got it cleaned up, got that red goop off there, I saw what it was doing. So we got a little skim coat of RTV on there now. I'm just gonna let it tack over for a minute or so while we chat, and then we'll plop the new gasket down. There's no other RTV needed on the gasket itself. So over here, you can see we've got the valve cover all cleaned up underneath. I did clean up the other side. I'll wait until we've got it back on to show you guys that. So the old gasket, kind of laughed. At first I thought it was a metal one, and no, it's just old and nasty. It's all dried up. It just wants a crack. It's not a rubber gasket. It's some sort of paper, pressed paper, I guess. But it's pretty crispy. So we got the new gasket over here. We'll go ahead, pop that on. I can tell already that that is much more pliable than the old one. So let me get you set back up here. We'll plop that down on the valve cover. Just kind of work it around. Make sure it's actually, I got it backwards. That's why it's not lining up. There we go. That looks better. We'll start it on the studs, work our way around, make sure we're not pinching it, snapping it. And just set her down on top of the head. There we go. We'll press it into that RTV a little bit. Not pressing it hard enough to press any RTV out, just enough for it to stick. So, with that said, we can go ahead and put the valve cover on. And here's your first look at how the valve cover came out. I think it came out pretty nice. Not perfect, obviously. There's some, you know, discoloration as well. What would really make this thing pop is to get it vapor blasted. But I don't know if you'll be into that. Maybe. Certainly makes the intake kind of look crappy. Come on, baby. There we go. We're down. I'm just gonna actually not pop that on, but I forgot that the clamp was in place. Just want to get on the hose and we'll tighten it down. That way we don't forget it's there. So that is all set. Like I said, it looks amazing. I mean, if you just look at how it compares to the intake manifold itself, I mean, it cleaned up really nice. Again, not perfect, but you know, if you got it vapor blasted, painted in here and behind around the BMW black, sanded this off, man, it would really pop. Look pretty sweet. But we'll have to see what he wants to do with it. Our goal here was just to stop some of the oil hemorrhaging. I mean, all BMWs leak-ish. We're gonna try to stop this one up. I say ish because my 330 way over there is not dripping anything. Really hasn't, probably in the last year and a half or so since I've got everything resealed. So you can't stop them up. They just need more maintenance than some other cars like Toyotas and whatnot. But I'm gonna go ahead, get this button down, probably move on to that cap and rotor, and then I think we're gonna call today a quits. We'll wrap this video up, and the next one is gonna be on this cooling system, and then depending on how long that goes, we might do one on the control arms as well, or maybe we'll just pop them on and off. I really want to get this car done tomorrow, so we'll have to see how time goes getting this stuff all done. As you know, filming takes it, you know, a little bit longer for everything. So in the meantime, get this button up, start working on the cap and rotor, and I'll bring you back when that's all set and we'll wrap this video up. All right, guys, well, we got the cap off. I actually pulled the rotor as well. It's not too terribly bad. I mean, it's pretty tight quarters in around the fan shroud and the fan, but you can get in there. The cap is held in by 3 different 8mm nuts. Just used a small 1/4" ratchet, got that okay. And then the cap itself is held in by 3 Allen head, just H3s. They pop right out. Took a look at the cap itself, kind of get you in here. There's a bit of corrosion on all the points under here. The cap looks like it was replaced in 2000, or was at least manufactured in 2000. Not sure if it went on right after that, because over here we have the old and new rotor buttons, and it's kind of hard to see, at least with my eyes. I think that's a 96 is the date for the old one. Obviously the new one, 22. So we're gonna go ahead and swap those out, put the new cap on. The way that I'm gonna do it here, so I don't have to remember where all the wires go, we'll just take the new one next to the old one and pull one at a time. That way we know they go back in the right spot. Then we'll go ahead and get the new cap on, fired up real quick, and should be job done for that. From there, I think we're gonna go ahead and do the control arms, because the next big job really is the rest of the cooling system. We've got to replace all these pipes, water pump, thermostat, and the heater core. With doing that, obviously we're going to dump a lot of coolant all over the place. I want to flush it out with a hose pretty good, and I don't want to lay on the ground and lay in rusty coolant water. So we're going to go ahead and finish the cap and rotor up, then move on to the control arms, and I think the next video will be the rest of the cooling system, and then we're pretty much done. There might be a couple other things that he wants done, but at least this will get it back to him and he can enjoy it for a little bit, and we can work on other things down the road. So let me get this buttoned up and I'll bring you back for a fire up, see how she runs with the new fuel filter, plugs, cap and rotor. All right, so we got the new cap and rotor on, wires back in place where they belong. I think I got everything in the right spot. Like I said, I just did one at a time with it next to each other. That way you don't mix up the order, you don't have to Google. We know it ran fine before, so we should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and let's start this thing up. Definitely cold start. This is actually a new day. Got a little tired last night and sore, so I called it quits. And we are gonna see how this thing starts up. Neutral, parking brake, clutch, even though it doesn't need it, but just in case she wants to roll. Perfect. And before it used to be a little sputtery when you first started it, and she is just holding real perfect cold RPM. Oh my God. It used to sputter coming off idle too. Nothing. Real nice and smooth. All right, so from here, I'm gonna reposition the car a little bit so I can get under it, get it up in the air, and start working on those control arms. All right, guys, well, I did some jacking, and then I came back and started to get this thing up in the air. We got our jack stands underneath on the frame rails, using the jack under the cradle as a safety, and then additionally another wheel underneath, which I'll copy on the other side before going underneath. Again, safety, guys, don't take it for granted. Here you can see the new front brakes that I put on. I wanted to quick show you why we're doing these control arms here. I'm hoping there's gonna be enough light for you to see. There's the lower ball joint. Let me give that a shake for you. Can you see it? How loose that is? And both sides are just as bad. So we definitely need to get in there and replace those. I don't know if I can get from the other side too, maybe. There we go. There's a good shot of it. That is ready to fall out. If you did any kind of aggressive driving, I mean, that could fail for sure. Okay, so we got our other wheel off now. Not too bad to do to get these control arms off. You just got one ball joint there, ball joint down here, disconnect sway bar, then remove the lollipop bushing on the back. So it shouldn't be too terrible to do. And over here, this is what we're going to be putting back on. Again, I'm always into OE plus type stuff, so we went with Lemforder from SCP Euro. All new control arm with new ball joints. Should give a lot of years of life. And then for bushings, we decided to go with the Rev Shift polyurethane. These are the 95A durometer. It does come with a bushing lube. You want to use that so it doesn't squeak. And we should be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on getting these control arms out. I'll bring you in as I make some progress. All right, so we got the right front control arm out. Definitely see failure point on this one. The one of the boots. That one's a little torn. I think this one's, yeah, that one's gaping open. So it definitely need to be replaced. What was this nut? I think it's a 23 mil. I didn't actually have a 23. I just used a 7/8. That was an absolute bear. There was no room to work at all. No room to swing a wrench. Can't get a socket on it. I had to do this again. I dropped the exhaust, get it out of the way. It would have made it a lot easier. And what was crazy is once I got the bolts out, these literally fell out of the car. I've never seen control arm / ball joints do that before. The taper, it just wasn't in there very good, I guess. So we got the old bushing off, the lollipop bushing. That I just pressed it out to get it off the arm in my 20-ton press. And then the outer sleeve I just cut with a hacksaw, or not a hacksaw, a sawzall, and got it out of the lollipop. So we'll get that cleaned up real quick, get the new bushing pressed in, get the new control arm on this side, and then we'll work on the other side. All right, we got both control arms off and replaced, bushings pressed out. The other control arm is the center one, that's the left front, driver's side. The boots don't look to be torn. Well, no, I can take that back. This side here, it's probably hard to see in the shadow. The light, oh yeah, there we go. She is wide open. So no wonders that these things were so loose. And actually, look here. It's BMW logo. I don't know if these are original, but someone, if they did replace them, put BMW arms on there. So that's probably a pretty good sign. Come over here to the car. And pretty. Got the rough shift bushings in, the lollipops. Got the new control arms on. Everything's torqued to spec. And sway bar's connected. So this is job done. Was kind of a pain in the butt, you know, laying on your back, reaching up. Like I said, this passenger side was absolutely horrendous for reach. It took me forever to get the nut back on. Basically had to kind of flip the wrench every quarter turn. It just took forever. There was no room to get a ratchet wrench or even a socket up there. So probably dropping the exhaust would have made that a little better. I don't know about a whole ton, but it would have been a little better anyway. So I think I'm going to close this video out. Normally I would just take it out for a quick run, see how it feels, but we're going to have to wait on that because I'm going to start doing the cooling system now for the next video, and I don't want to get that all hot and working with hot coolant. So we're just going to go ahead and end this here. Thank everyone again for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And we will see you on the next one.